Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Trapping with Jinx. We're going to do a fleshing project. So, on a beaver. Caught a nice, beautiful black beaver this year on my winter line. We kept it back. We wanted to keep and preserve that. And I thought I would take the time to video that for you. We're going to take off the meat that's on the backside. And we're going to scrape that, of course, flesh it. Make it to where the leather is just showing, and then we're gonna also put that on the board and then start the drying process. So in this video you'll find the scraping of the beaver hide in itself and the boarding process. So we're gonna get that started for you. It's real simple. You can, once this is all finished, you can send this off to a tannery, which is what I plan on doing with this piece, because it's gonna be dry product. Or you could ship it off to a fur buyer, or you can sell it locally if you desire to. So alright, so the items that you're gonna need to do this project is a fleshing knife. Now I don't use a real sharp knife. This is a cheaper knife. I've got another knife as well. There's not a lot of fat or meat to take off of the beaver. The hide will be super thick, so it doesn't have to be terribly sharp. That's just my opinion. HD apron, which is in the kit code down below, and fur comb, hammer, gloves, and finishing nails, so that we can put that on the board. Also have my beam in the background, as you can tell, and then I have a board. Now you could just use a piece of plywood if you want. Mine, of course, has the lines on it, but they also sell beaver hoops if that's something you need. But a piece of plywood would work fine, especially if you're just going to tan it yourself. The lines on this are kind of as a guide. So those are the items that we're going to be needing for this project, and let's get started. Alright folks, my first process, anytime I pick up furs, I comb it. You never know when you're going to have a cocklebur sitting on the bottom of your truck. You don't have to usually worry about it so much with beaver, but my first process is always make sure that I comb it out. I just took this out of the freezer. You can go sideways like that, leather to leather, or you can roll it either way. But what you want to do is you want to go leather to leather for sure, and roll it up if you're going to store it any period of time. But that's how we got from there to here. Later on I'll be able to do a skinning video for you guys. But I've pretty well combed this thing to pieces. Really beautiful product. So beautiful. Black beaver. This is the first time I caught a black beaver. Got it on video, and I'll be able to try. I'll click it on the end, but there we go. Got that all ready to go, and it's nice and clean. That's that. Alright, so on the beaver, you'll see there's this big membrane right here in the middle. And usually where I like to start when I do my scraping processes up around the head, I'll cut out some of that lip or shorten up the legs a little bit. But this is just my opinion. This is how Jinx does it. A lot of times I'll start in here on the belly, and then I'll roll that membrane over. I'll use my beam to help with that process, and as long as I keep rolling over the fat, it'll collect. It'll come off there. It'll look really nice. So that's just a suggestion that I have for you. If you want to start it here on the belly, I cut a little bit of the meat around the front part there. Alright, here we go. Here's my beam, and I'm just doing one piece today for you. So I don't really feel like I have to go and really dress the floor up or nothing. Real cheap necker knife. It's not even a necker knife. It's super cheap. I'm going to start in right here. And just kind of roll it back. The nice thing about a beaver hide, guys, is it's super strong. So it's not thin. The leather's not thin. And you just kind of keep moving it back. See, I'm going towards the head. I'm just kind of letting that fall. Once you get underneath that membrane, you just push. I'll do raccoons for you guys. I'll do everything later on. Right now I'm just kind of doing this for you. I had somebody who was asking for one of these, so that's what we're doing. You get all that grease. This is the grease part. Get all that off the edges right there. Make it nice and clean. It'll dry so much better. And if for some reason what you don't get off, you can always scrape off with a spoon in the drying process. My knife is not real sharp. I'm just getting underneath that fat. You don't have to have a terribly sharp knife. But that's just my opinion. I know some people say you have to, but... And then all I do is just kind of roll it along my beam. Try to keep my beam clean, that way it doesn't stick to the fur. That's just me though. A lot of times when I do a coon, I like to drop it all at once. That's just... You can see how much nicer that looks. Pull it up. I'm going to drop this down the middle. I got to make a cut though. Alright, I'm nearing towards the tail. Usually the tail is kind of the trickier part because the fat is really thick still. I don't want to cut into my beam. As long as you kind of get underneath it and kind of keep pushing, it'll come off. This is usually where I put nicks in my beam. Because everywhere else it just kind of comes right off. And I don't have to really worry about this piece right here because that's along the bottom of the tail. I'm going to trim that anyways. It's coming off pretty clean. You just get underneath it, push. Alright, so I got that half done. So basically I just started at this one. Maybe I'm going to have to go around this leg. I didn't do that one as well. That's the front leg. I got all that meat and membrane off the back. It's pretty nice and clean. And it's been a little while since I've done this, so I'm not doing this every day like I used to. And then it's clean along the edges, which is important. And then I'm going to do the other side next. Matter of fact, I'm going to get around the leg a little bit better right here. Just like that, see? Let's see, just get her down to the leather side and roll it over the top. Try not to get into your beam too much if you can help it. At least that's the way I do it. Yeah, rolls over pretty good. Personally, when I go to flushing, I like to flush it with just a little bit froze. It's just how it just comes off better than when it's milky. It's been sitting out a long time. I like to freeze it first. It just seems like it flushes so much better. I don't know why. I think it has, like I said, I think it has to do with it just sitting around getting kind of milky. It rolls so much better. Gotta be careful of the ears and the meat around the neck. I don't worry too much about that, but it is what it is. You get soft spots. Later on, you can, like I said, spoon it out on the board. So, all right, I'm gonna do the last half of it right here. Started at that other leg, work my way down, and then I'll come back. We'll dress that up. It's pretty simple. It's not too terribly difficult. It takes a little bit of getting used to, especially when you get into like coyotes and a lot of your thinner leather product. You hit it and it's just, beavers are really pretty simple to do. It's a good one to kind of learn on, in my opinion. Or raccoons are good too. Just simply because the hide is so much thicker. You have to push a little bit, but it comes off pretty good. So you can see there, I got all the edge. I got all the fat off the edge there. So it looks nice and clean. Same way here too. I don't know if you can see that or not. Nice and clean and white. And I'm gonna get around the head area and be done. Right, so I went do a little recap for you guys. The meat was right here in the middle. I started at this leg here and I worked my way in and I pushed it down the middle. I had to cut it with my knife and I basically am rolling it in this direction. Then when I got down to here, I went ahead and brought it up to the middle part of the beaver hide. Excuse me. And then I continued to go straight down the middle of the hide and rolling it off this right side. And that was pretty much it. Then I started and I did the other side. So I started the leg and I went and I got the rest of it and I went all the way down to the bottom piece and I rolled it over the edge. I made mention earlier, if you're listening earlier, you can see there's a little bit of fat needs to come off. It's usually the tail, the very end piece, is probably where I make nicks in my beam, because it's super thick on that back piece there. But that looks pretty good. So then after I did that, see, I'll close that up for you. It's just the bottom. That's fine. All the sides are super clean. You can kind of see that, hopefully. And it goes all the way around like that. And then I went and I did around this top piece. I don't know how well you can see that. And I worked around both arms. And I flipped the head this direction, like this. And went over the top of that head piece. There's still some meat that's going to be attached to that. I'm okay with that. This will get hard. There really isn't much here anyways. And it'll be fine once it goes through the tannery. I'll trim up a little bit of these arms. So see, they're kind of long. I'll do that on the board. That is your finished product. All the meat, all the grease is gone, and we're ready for the board. Okay, now that we got the fleshing process or the scraping process finished, we are ready for our board. So I'm gonna move the light around a little bit so you guys can see that. I have the lines for me. It makes it super easy. I always put my nails in the middle. Hold on a second. I'm gonna go with the third line on my board. Should make it a little easier for me. All I do is I start at the top and the bottom and the two sides, and then I work from the other sides, and then I just start splitting the middle. And then I'll show you how to do the legs and stuff, and I'll trim kind of as I go. I've tried to get it in about as a circular pattern as I can. You can see this is around that genital area. I'm gonna go ahead and probably should trim that here just a second. We'll do that separately. All right, here we go. These are inch long nails. They're not super long. I'm gonna try the third rung for now. And I don't do this every day, so some of you guys probably do this all the time. You're like, oh man, he's doing it wrong. Just how Jinx does it right now. And here we go. That's not bad. Split the middle and go to the third one. I have been known to go off the wrong grid and have to pull. You have a couple of people that you trap with, this makes it so much easier and fun. I think it's kind of fun when you get guys in your trap shed. It gives you something to be proud of when you get done. That's kind of part of the fun about it. Right now it's not super still kind of loose, so I think I'm pretty much okay with putting it on the third. Now I'll start cutting it. That piece there, and there should be a piece over here, but there isn't. Start taking some of that fat off. One thing I probably need to do, let me grab it real quick. Put a little piece of cardboard there. Put your meat on that. Anything that you kind of made a mistake on. Now watch, I forget where I was at. Imagining there's a piece there in the middle I'm stretching from, and go straight from it. Alright guys, I got all the nails knocked in there. They're about an inch apart from each other. I had to trim a little bit right in here. Like I said, that's around the orifice area. And then I usually have to trim a little bit around the lips. And usually when I have some pulling issues on my nails, it's right around the head. Seems like that seems to be the area that I really struggle with. When you put this on there and you wonder, you know, how tight is too tight. So you could really tight, you could go really tight, and then as it dries, you always have to keep in mind that the product will shrink and it'll pull at the nails. And you don't really want it too tight, from what I understand, when you go to selling it. Just because you want it just to have a more lusher I believe, from what I understand, is it thins out the fur when you stretch it too far. Especially on your raccoons. Well, let's see here. You have the inspection when it's different. We'll talk about that later. So now we're going to do the legs. The front legs, I'm going to trim those back. So you can see they're probably a good inch to 2 inches too far. So I'm just going to get a good pull on it. And I'm going to shorten those up. I hope you guys understand that. You just kind of get a good feel for it here in the middle. It's not terribly tight. And it's not terribly loose, so that it'll dry. And some of these spots right in here, I already know I'm going to have to go over and spoon over that. I can tell this one here I didn't do it as well as I should have, looks like. When I scraped it. It's fine. I'll just, a couple days I come back and I'll spoon it and I'll show you probably what I'm talking about. Now the back legs are just fine. I don't have to trim those up. They're looking good. We'll do the front legs first. Usually you do those with maybe 1 nail or 2 nails. I'll go in the middle right here. And then it's almost like you kind of stitch it. You go through it and then you go to the other pieces of the leather and then I pull back. Well, you should be able to do it with 1. And I'll do it with 2. This is a smaller beaver anyways. It's almost like I don't want to say it's almost like you're sewing, but all I want is, I don't want that to be open when it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 on it. And it's really hard for me to explain what I'm doing. So I went all the way through with my nail, and then I'm going to lock it onto the other piece of leather, and then I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to set it. That way this part right in here will dry well, and everything right in through here as well when it pulls. So I'll do the other one next, but let me do the back one. So you can see the hole on it. These are really easy to do. Start in the middle. Pull my nail through. Like that. Then I'm going to lock it on the other piece of the hide. Nail it. Now I'm going to pull it backwards. That one's pretty loose, so I'm going to put 3 of them in it. And I bet you could, I've seen it done before, maybe I've done it before, where you just do it with 1 and it looks really good. Just saves time. Actually, it looks kind of bunched right there. It's kind of loose. I just feel like I'm doing something wrong. It's been so long since I've done this, guys. Been a while. It's like riding a bike. There's 3. It's a little thick right there. I think it'll be fine though. I'm gonna do this one too. Almost forget. Maybe I ought to be pulling the other way. We'll figure it out. Alright, so those are the 2 legs. I'm gonna finish this up and we'll be finished. Alright folks, got her all finished up. Got our beaver fleshed and scraped. Got him put on the board. Everything's nailed down. He's not too thin and he's not too tight. He's just the way I like him. And I'm going to make sure that my temperature is about 50 degrees. That's kind of where I like to dry at, 50 to 70 if I can. I'll run a little bit of a fan in the drying room just to kind of help circulate the air. I don't always run a fan on my fur, but that's kind of how I'm going to dry him. A few days later, I'll make sure I'll scrape the wet spots on the leather, and it'll dry nice and papery thin, and you'll be able to see that product before I get ready to send it out. So, hey. Alright folks, it's about 2 days later, and you can see our pelt's starting to dry pretty good. There's a couple soft spots right here, and right along here you can see, and there's another one right here. So what I like to do is I wipe it down. It's kind of sweating a little bit. I wipe it down. It's not as prime as I'd like to have seen it. It's pretty. I think I cut this one in December. Even around the tail mark, right in there. I just have an old, I think it's a sheet, I don't know, piece of metal there. Usually I'm wearing my gloves. I'm not right now. See how I just kind of move that around. Another piece right here. There we go. And there's the last one. And I just come by every once in a while, every couple days, and this is what I'm going to do to kind of help it dry. Rid of them soft spots. Other than that, it's coming out pretty good. Nice progress. Old spoon will work really good. I thought it was like a shoehorn or something. I don't know what it is. There you go. Looking pretty good. So, alright folks, this is the end of the deal. 5 days later. I just stop by every couple of days and I wipe her down real good and scrape it a little bit if I need to. And it's all paper thin. So it really turned out pretty nice. So I'm going to get the nails taken off and we'll go from there. Alright folks, getting the last of it done. Looking good. Alright folks, all finished. You can see it's like super thin, leathery product. And what I usually like to do after that is I just kind of brush it back with my hand. If there's any sand or whatever, I just kind of try to get it out with my hands. That's about it. I have in the past used a finer comb, but I usually just brush it back with my hand like that. So that's it. That's what it looks like on the end. End up really nice. I'm going to be excited when this comes back. So anyways, from here, all you have to do if you want to store this is a dried finished product. So this product would be ready for the fur market. If you wanted to sell this to your fur buyer or your fur auction, it would be ready to sell. So from here, what I'm going to do is, or if you want to take it to the tanner, you can do that as well, which is what I'm going to do. From here, I'm going to store this leather to leather or fur to fur. So if you had a bunch of these, I always store those fur to fur or leather to leather. I'll probably put this back in the deep freeze at the top. Otherwise, you could set it on high, it'd be fine. Just as long as your temperature's still regulated. You don't have mice, that sort of thing. But anyways, that's the end of the finished product there. And from here, if you decide you want to send it off to the tannery, I have a couple tanneries that I like to use. This is garment tanned fur. Super soft and beautiful. You see the difference in the colors between the black beaver and the regular beaver. If you wanted to, you can make a nice craft project out of it as well. Got the nice little willow hoop on the end, and then if you want to paint on the backside, you could too. So sky's the limit on what you can do with these. They're really super awesome products. They're beautiful fur, just the way God created them. So anyways, hope you guys liked that episode. Be definitely looking out for more fleshing videos, more processing videos, as I'll be kicking those out for you. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. Turn your notifications of the bell on so you don't miss an episode. And definitely hit that thumbs up or the like button. And I would really, really appreciate it. And I'm glad you were here with me. And I'm Traveling the Jinx. And hey, have a great day.